And blowback from a so-called fight club of Senate Democrats. The New York Times saying, quote, a group of influential liberal senators, they're being kind by saying liberal, is directly challenging Chuck Schumer's approach to the midterm elections and President Trump in another sign of growing frustration among Democrats toward the minority leader. Those members are apparently including Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and the party is showing more signs of cracks after Senator Cory Booker had this to say on a podcast.
I'm one of those people that's saying as our party has failed. They've made terrible mistakes, and I want us to emerge in this moment, not focusing on party, but refocusing on people. The Democratic Party has failed in my generation.
How? Here to discuss is the host of My View, Lara Trump, that you see Saturday nights. Lara, first off, what do you think Cory Booker's talking about? I mean, I know how you feel about how the party's failed, but what do you think they mean when they say he's failed?
Well, in a lot of ways, Brian, I think this is just the cat is now out of the bag, and the American people are starting to see that the Democrat establishment has been able to pull the strings behind the scenes for a long time. Now, that all fell apart, you know, when they plugged in an empty suit of Joe Biden at the top of the ticket to be the quote unquote leader of the party. Well, that was just a complete void of nothingness there at the top. And that's allowed this very far left radical wing of the party to kind of come in and fill things in. And now they're a party of socialists with communist ideas. And that's a big problem for the Democrats. He is right in the fact that they haven't delivered anything for the American people, that the base they used to have of blue collar workers fully moved over to vote for President Trump in basically the last three elections very strongly, for sure, in 2024. And they've lost most of what they used to count on in their party. Look at young voters as well. They're also shifting to the right. So they have a big problem. But, you know, the infighting, I think, has just begun. It's like the inmates are now fully running the asylum that is the Democrat Party. And for Chuck Schumer, I mean, he's had a tough job. It's been like herding cats. And I think the word is out. If you are not willing to bow down to their communist ideas, your time is up. You are out of the party. So as they're heading into these midterms next year, get ready to see more of defunding the police, of government-run grocery stores, of taxing neighborhoods based on race. That is what they're focused on. And unfortunately for them, I don't know that that speaks very well to the bulk of America.
Lara, where do you stand on this health care compromise? For example, everybody knows Republicans didn't vote for Obamacare, but people's rates are going up. It looked like the president wants to do something with the subsidies. It looks like the House doesn't. What's the remedy?
Well, the president has said he wants to come up with something great for the country. Obviously, Obamacare failed epically, and people have been hurt all across this country because of it. And maybe it is time that we sit down and find something that is a better fit for the American people. The president has talked about this and said we want to come up with a better solution. At the end of the day, I think that what we saw with the government shutdown is just more indication that the Democrats do not care truly about the American people. They were willing to put people at risk who were flying all across this country. They were willing to not pay our military members, our TSA workers, our air traffic controllers for months on end. It was a disgrace. But if that at the end of the day, Brian, has led to a place where maybe we're actually going to get health care that works for the country, maybe that will be the silver lining in all of this. We'll
all right.
see.
So what's coming up on Saturday? We understand you sit down with Navy Secretary John Phelan. Of course, a lot of pressure on the Navy as they sit down these 7 miles in some cases from the coast of Venezuela.
Yeah, well, we talked about that with him, you know, with Operation Southern Spear underway and what he's doing as Secretary of the Navy. While I was there at the sit down, by the way, I got to have the most epic time in an F-18. I broke the speed of sound. I got to pull almost 7 Gs yesterday. You can see it this weekend. And then maybe, yeah, there I am. I'm all suited up. Let me tell you something. That's about 55 pounds of gear. That's what they don't tell you before you get in one of these fighter jets. It was one of the coolest experiences ever. But maybe even cooler, Brian, was that I got to play golf with my niece, Kai Trump. We went out on the golf course together. We're talking about, you know, what it's like for her to be the oldest of the grandchildren of President Trump's. This is the first time she's done an interview like this. And I got to be honest, I hate to admit it, she absolutely kicked my butt in golf. But I don't have a lot of time for that these days. So one day, when I got 4 hours a day to dedicate to it, maybe I'll be a little better. And Saturday night at 9, I'll see everybody there. That'll
be great. But you actually were golfing against maybe a future pro golfer and a Division I golfer. So give yourself some slack. Lara,
thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. I look forward to your show right after Thanksgiving, 9 o'clock.
It was the spring of 1931. The Great Depression had swept across America like a dark storm. Jobs were gone, factories silent, and hunger walked freely through the streets. In the southern states, Alabama, Tennessee, Mississippi, life for the poor was even harsher. But for young black men, it was worse than harsh. It was dangerous. On a slow, rusty freight train heading through Alabama, 9 young African-American boys climbed aboard, chasing hope. They were tired, hungry, and desperate for work. Each carried dreams heavier than their few belongings. They didn't know it yet, but this train would not take them to opportunity. It would carry them straight into the